Hello and welcome to today's video. This time I'm delighted to be able to have a look through The Art of Ron Lesser Volume 2, Dangerous Dames and Cover Dolls. Now this one's edited by Robert Dice, Bill Cunningham and Daniel Zimmer, with a foreword by none other than Joe Jesco. So sit back, relax, and let's take a look. Okay, so here is the new book here, Dangerous Dames and Cover Dolls, and you may remember, I think it was about a year or so ago, that the first volume of The Art of Ron Lesser, Volume 1, The Deadly Dames and Sexy Sirens, was published, and I did do a separate standalone review on that one on the channel, and I'll obviously link to that in the description at the end, but that one basically covered more on Ron's paperback work, which I found absolutely fascinating. They pulled together countless covers. I mean, a real archive book. I absolutely enjoyed it. Really great stuff. This second one here is more his sort of later work, really, and it covers sort of paintings of sexy celebrities, such as people like Marilyn Monroe, Betty Page, Bridget Bardot, that sort of thing, as well as pop culture characters like Vampirella or Red Sonja, that sort of thing. So that's what we're going to be having a look through today. Now, a few of these paintings, I have to say, are a little risque. So before we get into it, I'm going to do my best to either cover it up with my hand, any offending bits of flesh, because YouTube is quite strict on that sort of thing, or I shall have to pixelate it out. So sorry if that spoils your enjoyment of it, but what can I say? You know, we need to stick to the rules here. So once again, this one is published by Subtropic Press, which is that's Bob's own publishing imprint there. Yes, Subtropic Publications LLC, and designed by Bill Cunningham of Pulp 2.0. So if you're wondering on the rather gorgeous layout of this book, that's the team behind it. And here we are, and it's really impressive. And this is a different take, of course, on you know, what we saw in the first one with all the paperback work. This is more sort of pin-up stuff, and Ron is a big fan of the Gal Gadot Wonder Woman, and there she is. Great likeness here. And as you can see, it's a sort of coffee table format, so there's plenty to see here, and it does the actual artwork justice. Now here's the introduction by Joe Jesco, and he's certainly an artist who I think most of us would have seen his work over the years. An absolutely fantastic artist. I think he's superb, and he himself said that he's actually owned some of Ron's original work at some point, which is, you know, some of it's been traded on, but he's still got some bits and pieces. He particularly mentions a Barbra Streisand cover, which we will have a look at a little bit later. I think it was Joe who mentioned that. Yeah, this is it. Just in his at the very end of his introduction here, he says Barbra Streisand missed out on a spectacular album cover. Well, you'll be pleased to know that that is also reproduced here. But yes, I'm sure you know Joe Jesco. I mean, absolutely fantastic artist. Some might say very similar to like Frazetta. You know, that sort of you know, great grandeur of the and detail of his paintings. And we got a second reproduction here. This one's by Daniel Zimmer. He's the editor of Illustration magazine, as well as many excellent art books, and of you know, real great authority on the world of art himself. So he's done like almost like a second introduction, showing some classics here as well by Ron. Of course, he did some fantastic movie posters. You could say the almost iconic Zardos poster, which was used actually on the paperback adaptation as well. Yeah, directed by John Boorman, Charlie Boorman's dad, and the famous Sean Connery. Not perhaps the greatest movie, is definitely not held up 50 years later, but what a fantastic poster that was that Ron painted there. I think it won awards, that particular one. Also, great likenesses of Clint Eastwood there as well. High Plains Drifter. Fantastic stuff. Now, I believe that's Ron's son there, posing in this great painting depicting Custer's Last Stand. And this is like original artwork that Ron does almost on demand for artist galleries around the country. Great stuff here, really detailed. That house there was Ron's agent's house. So he worked it into that great Civil War picture there. And when I was reading through this, he said how, once again, on the pictures, Ron's added his own commentary throughout the text, which is really good. And he says in the early 2000s, there was a bit of a craze with women like smoking cigars. And I sort of remember it myself, seeing these magazines with, like, I don't know, people like, I don't know, famous female celebrity Sharon Stone, for example, on the cover of like a cigar magazine, smoking a big cigar. So that was based on the back of that. And he says, they sold really, really well. And he put them on the cover of those paperbacks there, and those paperbacks subsequently sold really well as well. So he's jumping on a bit of a trend there, which I guess you've got to do if you're an artist. Now we're on to the Dangerous Dames part of the book. And he's got a very, very distinctive style with his ladies. And smoking once again. It's almost like a mirror image, that particular one. And you'll recognise this picture there. That was a take on the cover of the last book, Volume 1. I said if you'd like a look through that, just click on the link at the end. Obviously, you're just watching this on the video. You can't quite beat this in the flesh. Now, this was a whole series that Ron did based on the old, like, 1940s detective magazines, and he had a little bit of fun with this, making them look like actual magazines, even so much as, you may not be able to see it, but the little, like, red, white and blue, that's a little buy wall bonds, little add-on there that he put on, which would have been the case in 1943, 1944. Absolutely fantastic. Really, really like these. They're superb. You'll recognise some of the illustrations from looking through the book. Yeah, cold case detective. Comics and movies. That's Halle Berry there as Catwoman. That's Bridget Bardot. There she is, still going strong. She's 89 now, Bridget Bardot. Rita Hayworth. And there is that Barbara Streisand artwork that Joe Jesko referred to in his introduction. It is fantastic. If that had been released sort of in the 60s or 70s, that would have fitted in perfectly, wouldn't it, with a Streisand album. Done some comic book work as well. This is for Dynamite, where he did Charlie's Angels versus the Bionic Woman. And he'd done several of Margot, what's she called? Margot Robbie, yeah, as Harley Quinn. Really great likenesses there. There's a few more. I think these are like produced for galleries, so you can buy the originals. Pam Anderson there from, what was it, Barbed Wire. Now, there's the Red Sonja work there, Devil with a Sword, but apparently that wasn't actually used on the comic book series. I think that's a fantastic bit of artwork. One of my favourite in the whole book, in actual fact. Really, really like one. I particularly like the blood splatters on her as well. Great detail. Really like that one. Now, here's his Gal Gadot pictures. Once again, fantastic likeness. He's really captured her there. Yeah, all on display at the Amazing Gallery, which is in Las Vegas. I think you can buy them from there as well. But that's where they're on display. This is Elvira, of course, unmistakable. Now, Vampirella. Iconic character in her own right. World's skimpiest bikini, you could say. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful artwork, this. And now Betty Page. Well, the classic illustration photography model. And unfortunately, some of this is going to have to be censored out. But this is based on, a lot of these paintings were based on the Bunny Yeager photographs with a few adaptations. But you get the idea. It's good as a Hell's Angel. And then romantic fantasy. Beautiful, beautiful colour reproductions. These are really, really nice. I just hope the video does it justice. You can see how well this has been reproduced. Obviously, this book is in hardback, which is definitely the way to get it. A great piece. And Marilyn Monroe. These pieces, once again, have been, a lot of them commissioned for the Animazing Gallery. These ones here, Ron has created the artwork and then made them look like actual magazines from the period, which I think is very, very clever indeed, adding in the logos and dates and stuff like that. They do look like, you know, period magazines. Very, very clever. And some of these Monroe pictures you'll obviously recognise, some you may not. Some are completely made up, so that's Marilyn Monroe as Roxy Hart from Chicago. Obviously Marilyn Monroe never played that part in stage or screen, but in the artist's mind it can be something that can be realised. Of course, Monroe is still very, very popular. There we are, and then we've got little biographies of all the contributors. There's, of course, on Ron there. There's a photo of him, looks like late 70s, early 80s maybe, at work on a painting there. He's got lots of reference material around it, which I always find sort of fascinating. And Bob and Bill, of course, who very familiar to viewers of this channel because they also publish the Men's Adventure Quarterly, of which issue 10 is soon to be released. Coming in future volumes, so this is what's coming up. And there we are. And what a lovely book it is. Absolutely fantastic. So as a companion to the first volume, I think it's absolutely superb. And evidently there's going to be more. So look out for those in the future. So there we are. That is The Art of Ron Lesser, Volume 2. An absolutely fantastic book. One which I wholeheartedly recommend you pick up if you're a fan of this sort of artwork. You can get copies direct from the Subtropic website, which I'll obviously link to down below, as well as Amazon worldwide. So if you enjoyed this video, do please give it that thumbs up. Do please hit the subscribe button if you've not already for regular content of this sort. And I shall look forward to seeing you again very soon. Bye.